Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Ganatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopi Shah Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Utama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. It's October 31st, 2020. And we're having an evening program here. And we're reading from a book called the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam, it's the follow-up book. You might say it's the sequel to a book called Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita, over the past 200 years or so, has become quite well known throughout the world. And Bhagavad Gita, the meaning of that title is Song of the Supreme. And Bhagavatam is like the postgraduate study of Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita, in a sense, it starts with distinguishing between spirit and matter, between the soul and the body. I was 6 or 7 years ago, I was in Colorado, and I was doing a presentation to medical professionals. It was the faculty of a hospital, doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, some social workers. And I started the presentation and I said, let's say someone comes to you and says, I've hurt my finger. So in that simple phrase, my finger, there are two entities. There's the finger and the owner of the finger. So I asked them, who are you treating? Are you treating the finger or the owner of the finger? So they sat there looking a little stunned. The director of the hospital, he was there. And he said, well, David, that's a simple question. But we never really thought about it. So I said, yeah, it's really quite important, because in the finger, there's no healing potency. The finger essentially is made of the same stuff as the wall or the floor. It's dead matter. There's no healing potency. The healing potency is in that irreducible quanta of consciousness that is the owner of the finger. And so Teilhard de Chardin said, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So spiritual being, that's the owner of the finger, that atomic unit of sentience that inhabits the body, that person that I call David. Just like there's been changes of body, right? Like where is that 5-year-old body? Where's the 5-year-old Marie body? Where's the 8-year-old Sarah body? Where's the 12-year-old Aaron body? We can say, well, the body has grown, but that's not true. I mean, it seems that way, but it's not true. Bhagavad Gita describes, Dihinosming yata dehe kamaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dirastatra namuyate. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body, from childhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the change of body that we call death. So from science, from chemistry, we understand there's not one molecule, not one atom in my body now that was there when I was 5. It's not that the molecules or atoms grew. It's complete change. There's nothing physical that's the same. So that indicates, but still there's some constant identity that I call David, you call Marie, you call Sarah, you call Aaron. There's some constant identity that indicates that identity is something non-physical. Call it antimatter, call it soul, whatever we want to call it. So this process of Bhakti-Yoga that's described in these ancient literatures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it's about the science of the soul, the science of realizing who we are as that irreducible quanta of consciousness that animates the body. And this is important. I say it's important. I mean, I've endeavored to dedicate my life to such a study and to sharing it because, well, an analogy Bhaktivedanta Swami sometimes uses is like if we have a string of zeros, let's say we have 10 zeros, 20 zeros, 50 zeros. What's the value? The value is 0. 0. But if we put a 1 in front, then the 1 gives value, then it becomes quadrillion, big numbers. So similarly, the zeros represent different areas of life. Maybe our economic situation, our career, our physical fitness, the residence we live in. And at the same time, if we're lost to ourselves, if Saint Francis said, we're searching for what is searching. We're searching for some experience externally that exists intrinsically in the spirit being that we are. So self-realization is the one that gives value to the string of zero. So realizing who we are as spirit, soul, and then what are the activities of the self in enlightenment when we've realized that I'm not the finger, I'm the owner of the finger. Or to use another analogy, I'm not the car is a vehicle. This is a vehicle. I'm the driver of the car. Okay, and so the activities of the soul in self-realization and self-discovery, that's called bhakti. And that's loving devotional service to the Supreme. So this process is about the self turning towards itself in self-discovery and the self turning towards the Supreme in a spirit of loving devotion. That's what bhakti is. And just as it's described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadyasya yataha, that whatever exists in the effect must exist in the source. And so just like we have activities and we have personality and we've got form and we've got qualities. So how does it make sense to deny that our source has form, personality, activities? Of course, the activities, the qualities, the personality of the Supreme is of a transcendental nature. We can see, just like if I ask, how did this watch or this book stand, how did this form? We could say, well, obviously the wind blew, and then there was the watch through random chance of the wind blowing. But we all know that's not how the watch formed. That no, there's an intelligence behind this. There's a designer, there's an engineer, there's a craftsman or craftswoman, right? There's intelligence, a whole team of intelligence behind this. And we can see just from basic logic that the level of structure and organization of, for example, the veins of a leaf or the rotation of the planets is trillions of times more sophisticated than the level of organization in this Seiko watch. So logically, we can understand, it makes sense to conclude that there's an intelligence behind the rotation of the planets and the veins of a leaf that's greater than the intelligence behind this watch. We could say, I believe that, no, the rotation of the planets just happened by the wind blowing, and then there was soup, primordial soup. We could believe that, but that would require blind faith. It's more reasonable to believe that there's an intelligence there. So this book, Srimad Bhagavatam, especially this part of it that we're going to read today, because this whole month is a day celebrating particular pastimes of the Supreme. And just by hearing these pastimes, it purifies our heart and supports us to move towards that most sublime goal of human life, the self turning towards itself in self-awareness and turning towards the Supreme in a spirit of loving devotion. That's from these ancient wisdom traditions declare that whatever we do, whatever occupation, whatever our relationships, we don't need to change anything to live spiritually. The idea is to make the center of relationships, make the center of career, make the center of our endeavors for learning, make the center of our propensity to sing, to dance, to eat, to communicate, make the center this process of self-discovery and yoga, so connection with the Supreme. So these are what we're going to spend a few minutes hearing about, reading the pastimes of the Supreme to support us in this most sublime process of self-awareness and to support the self to turn towards the absolute person in a spirit of devotion. So this is chapter 9 of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the chapter is entitled, Mother Yasoda Binds Lord Krishna. And we're going to start with the summary. Okay, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, entitled Mother Yasoda Binds Lord Krishna. While Mother Yasoda was allowing Krishna to drink her breast milk, she was forced to stop because she saw the milk pan boiling over on the oven. The maidservants being engaged in other business, she stopped allowing Krishna to drink from her breast and immediately attended to the overflowing milk pan. Krishna became very angry because of his mother's behavior and devised a means of breaking the pots of yogurt. Because he created this disturbance, Mother Yasoda decided to bind him. These incidents are described in this chapter. One day, the maidservants being engaged in other work, Mother Yasoda was turning the yogurt into butter herself. And in the meantime, Krishna came and requested her to allow him to suck her breast milk. Of course, Mother Yasoda immediately allowed him to do so, but then she saw that the hot milk on the oven was boiling over, and therefore she immediately stopped allowing Krishna to drink the milk of her breast and went to stop the milk on the oven from overflowing. Krishna, however, having been interrupted in his business of sucking the breast, was very angry. He took a piece of stone, broke the churning pot, and entered a room where he began to eat the freshly churned butter. When Mother Yasoda, after attending to the overflowing milk, returned and saw the pot broken, she could understand that this was the work of Krishna, and therefore she went to search for him. When she entered the room, she saw Krishna standing on the ulukala, a large mortar for grinding spices. Having turned the mortar upside down, he was stealing butter hanging from a swing and was distributing the butter to the monkeys. As soon as Krishna saw that his mother had come, he immediately began to run away, and Mother Yasoda began to follow him. After going some distance, Mother Yasoda was able to catch Krishna, who because of his offense was crying. Mother Yasoda, of course, threatened to punish Krishna if he acted that way again, and she decided to bind him with rope. Unfortunately, when the time came to knot the rope with which she wanted to bind him was short by a distance equal to the width of 2 fingers. When she made the rope longer by adding another rope, she again saw that it was short by 2 fingers. Again and again she tried, and again she found the rope too short by 2 fingers. Thus she became very tired, and Krishna, seeing his affectionate mother so tired, allowed himself to be bound. Now, being compassionate, he did not show her his unlimited potency. After Mother Yasoda bound Krishna and became engaged in other household affairs, Krishna observed 2 Yamala Arjuna trees, which were actually Nala Kuvara and Manigriva, 2 sons of Kuvera, who had been condemned by Narada Muni to become trees. Krishna, by his mercy, now began to proceed toward the trees to fulfill the desire of Narada Muni. So that's a summary of the chapter. We'll now read texts 1 and 2. They read as follows. First, the Sanskrit. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ekada Grihadasishu Yasoda Nanda Gehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamanta Swayam Dachi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbala Charitani Cha Dadhi Nirmantane Kale Smaranti Tanyagayata. Marie, would you like to read the translation and purport?
Yeah, I can. Translation. Sri Shukar Goswami continued. One day, when Mother Yasoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way, she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vaishnava Toshani of Srila Swatanathan Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna's breaking the pot of yogurt and being bound by Mother Yasoda took place on the Deepawali day or Deepa Malika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and light, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yasoda's cows ate only grasses, so flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. Mother Yasoda wanted to collect the milk from these cows, making into yogurt and churning into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to the houses of neighborhood copas and gopis to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily.
Ordinarily.
Ordinarily prepared. While churning the butter, Mother Yasoda was thinking about the childhood activities of Krishna. It was formally a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry and had this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yasoda did not want to forget Krishna's activity at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's childhood activities, such as the killing of Putana, Agosura, Sakatashura, and Trinivarta. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of person eager to remain Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. These incidents show how Krishna conscious Mother Yasoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such a person.
Okay, so this Mother Yasoda, this woman, she is the like at that topmost stage of pure spiritual consciousness. So she's a great hero for Vaishnavas, Mother Yasoda. And this term, just like Bhagavad Gita has become well known, the term mantra has become pretty well known, right? So mantra means self-realization through sound vibration, God realization through sound vibration, right? There's different types of meditation. The word yoga, of course, everyone knows the word yoga these days too. So yoga, actually, like English word like yoke, to connect, comes from the Sanskrit yoga. And so yoga means to connect, it means plus. In its essential form, it means the soul connecting with God in a spirit of devotion. And so mantra yoga is self-realization, God realization through sound vibration. And that's what Mother Yasoda is doing here. She would take these transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and turn them into song. And so such songs, they reveal absolute truth, and the vibrations themselves are identical with the absolute truth that they reveal. That's mantra. And it's described in the ancient Vedas, Idi Shoda Shakam Nam Nam Kalikama Shanashanam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That for this particular age, a mantra that's especially powerful and recommended to realize who we are as not this body and spirit soul, who we are as pure devotees of the Supreme Personality. A mantra that's especially recommended is the 16-word mantra composed of 32 syllables. It's called the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is self-realization through sound vibration. And actually, I did my doctoral studies, my PhD dissertation back in the 1990s on the effects of mantra on wellness indicators like reducing stress, reducing depression, increasing life satisfaction. So this is it's a completely free method for peace of mind, for stress relief, for fulfillment, for living purposefully. We can chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at any time and just notice the effects. Notice the effects. Yeah, this is a spiritual sound vibration. I'll read the translation of the next verse, number 3, is dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied about her full hips. Mother Yasoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. And in the purport, Bhaktivedanta Swami writes, Anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily features of Mother Yasoda. It is not that one should desire to become like Yasoda, for this is Mayabad. Either in parental affection or conjugal love, friendship or servitorship, in any way, we must follow in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, not try to become like them. Therefore, this description is provided here. Advanced devotees must cherish this description, always thinking of Mother Yasoda's features, how she was dressed, how she was working and perspiring, how beautifully the flowers were arranged in her hair, and so on. One should take advantage of the full description provided here by thinking of Mother Yasoda in maternal affection for Krishna. So a basic principle here is that negation of the material is not spiritual. Now, to negate the material, that may have some benefits, because that can help us detach from matter. And this is important. It's described. The meaning of that is that the root cause of all anxiety, and we've all suffered anxiety, maybe sometimes less severe, sometimes more severe, maybe sometimes agonizing torment. The root cause of all anxiety, insecurity, toxic stress is misidentification of the spiritual self with the material body, misidentification of eternal spirit with temporary matter. That's the root cause of all anxiety. As far as why that's the root cause, that we could do a whole series of classes on that, but that's a basic principle. And so to negate the material, to detach from matter, that can be relieving. At the same time, in itself, that's not spiritual. That's not spiritual. The example is given, like let's say there's a child that's doing something destructive. So the parent can tell the child, just sit in the corner and just do nothing, just sit there. So the child can sit and do nothing, maybe for 5 seconds or 10 seconds maximum. But then the child is naturally active, so it's going to do destructive things again. But the more intelligent parent finds something here. Look, here's something constructive and healthy to do, and the child's having more fun doing it than the destructive thing, and then the child naturally forgets about the destructive thing. So that indicates actual positive spiritual life, not just negation of material. So we all like to look at beautiful forms. We all like to hear attractive sounds. We all like to dance and eat and relate. And we all like to serve and communicate. And all of these propensities, we're all seeking knowledge. We're all seeking happiness. All of these propensities, isn't like, well, when you become spiritual, then you don't do any of that. No, that's not true. Spiritual means what is spiritual form, and let's meditate on that. Let's transform our attraction to spiritual form, spiritual sound vibration, spiritual dancing, spiritual fragrance, and that's the science of Bhakti-Yoga. That's the science that's given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we're hearing description of spiritual form. We take our natural propensity to be attached to spiritual form, spiritual sound vibration, then we become completely peaceful and satisfied in a very dynamic way. So I'm thinking, what's that? Yeah, that's good. So if there's any if anyone would like to share any comments or inspirations or ask any questions at this time, we welcome any questions or comments.
Well, I've been sitting with the thinking about Yukta Vairagya recently, and I feel like it sounds simple, and also I have constant wonderings like, am I really doing it, or am I just saying that I'm doing it? Like, am I doing what I just would do anyway? Is that a place to start? And offering what I'm like, I went to the grocery for an older friend today, and I'm like, I can offer that service, but it also feels very like, it wasn't like, it feels different from cooking for Krishna specifically. And so I'm just thinking about that process of how to really do the one in front of the zero in my life.
I'd like to be more clear. What did you do today at the market?
I was shopping for an older friend who doesn't want to go out.
I see you were doing a kind deed for a friend. Gotcha. Okay, so Yukta Vairagya. Yukta, it's the same root as yoga, to connect. So Yukta Vairagya means to connect everything in devotional service to Krishna, devotional service to God. So you're meditating on that. You know, where are you actually doing it? Where are you just rationalizing? You're in that question. Okay, so you are definitely, Sarah, you're definitely doing Yukta Vairagya now. 100%. You have a philosophical propensity. You have a philosophical propensity, and you're using that philosophical propensity to consider what is Yukta Vairagya practically applied. So that's it. You have a philosophical propensity, your propensity to play with conceptualizations, and it's part of your nature. And so you're utilizing that to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, to understand Bhagavad Gita. So that definitely is 100% Yukta Vairagya.
Mm-hmm.
I was hearing, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was hearing in the class recently about like how this isn't a world embracing philosophy, like you just said today too.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel the tension between, or like the paradox of, I want to be discerning about what I'm engaging with, you know, and also not in the name of rejection saying, oh, I can't do that, or I don't, like being very rigid.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to say is that the foundational principle of all principles, including Yukta Vairagya, is to always remember God. So let's say that you do an activity like shopping for older friend who doesn't want to go out. Yeah. And then you're thinking, is it really Yukta Vairagya or not? Just that thought is leading you to think of God. So like in that, like David was saying, in that philosophical inquiry, that's it. It's not necessarily the activity, it's really the consciousness with the activity. And if the consciousness with the activity is a consciousness of being inquisitive about, am I remembering the Lord or not? Or am I serving the Lord or not? Then automatically it serves that first principle that even if I'm asking myself, am I remembering the Lord or not? Or am I serving the Lord or not? In itself, I'm remembering the Lord.
Nice point.
Yeah, that's relieving a little bit. Like, yeah, it feels like, I guess I feel scared of like the slippery slope of deceiving myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll suggest that fear itself is likely Yukta Vairagya. Like it sounds like a healthy fear. Yeah, and I'm serious about it. And it's because like just like fear. Okay, so there's fear that alienates ourselves from ourselves. There's fear that prevents me from growing because I'm so fearful to get out of a comfort zone. There's fearful that alienates me from God. There's fear that alienates me from self. So there's toxic, grungy fear, unhealthy fear, and there's spiritual fear, and there's spiritual. Srila Prabhupada said, he said his number one anxiety is that his students are not fearful enough of Maya, illusion. So to have a healthy fear that maybe I'm deceiving myself, yeah, maybe I'm rationalizing and fooling myself, that can be healthy. Of course, if it just freezes us and we can't do anything, that's not the point. But the idea is like, yeah, let me be humble and let that fear move me to really use my discretion to differentiate reality from illusion, to note it, to shine light on my self-deceptions, to invite honest feedback from friends who care. Let that fear move me to be even more rigorous in my process of honest living. Yeah, and then my experience over, I mean, I've been, to some extent, practicing Bhakti-Yoga for about 40 years. And that, yeah, that as I practice more and more, and of course, practice means I'm not good at it. So I'm still practicing. And so that as I practice more and more and get more realization, then I'm able to make more distinctions about what is actual yukta vairagya and what is me rationalizing. More distinctions based on the examples and teachings of persons like Mother Yasoda, Srila Prabhupada, Yasoda, and then less and less, it's just about, well, I think this, I think that, based on my condition, and more, as years go on, I'm able to make distinctions based on authoritative wisdom, authoritative knowledge.
I hear in that like patience with the process of growth and realization.
Patience, key quality here. Yes, definitely is. And thanks for that discussion. Okay, I suggest we read another 2 verses or so and see what other discussion comes, and then we'll close for the evening. Okay, text 4. Tamstanya kama asadya matanantim jananim hari krihi padari mantanam Yasoda pritim avahan. Marie, would you like to read?
Do you want to read, Sarah? Do you have the book in front of you?
Mine's still wrapped in plastic, actually. Could you do that reading?
So you prefer her to? Okay.
Yeah.
While Mother Yasoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of her churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Krishna was sleeping within the room And as soon as he got up, he became angry and went to his mother, wanted to stop her from churning and drink the milk of her breast. He stopped her from moving the churning rod.
Text 5 reads, Mother Yasoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Purport: everything in the household affairs of Mother Yasoda was meant for Krishna. Although Krishna was drinking the breast milk of Mother Yasoda, when she saw that the milk pan in the kitchen was overflowing, she had to take care of it immediately, and thus she left her son, who then became very angry, not having been fully satisfied with drinking the milk of her breast. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. I trust we've all had that experience. We're talking here about multitasking. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yasoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. On the platform of love and affection, it is the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and other things later. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pridipurvakam dadami Bhakti-Yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. That's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10. In Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of absolute truth. Transcendental management. Yeah, so it's described in Bhagavad Gita that this Krishna consciousness, it's a thrill at every moment. Remember, Sarah, you know J Ma, Lacey Nagy, and she used to say about coming to Sakata. This is where the party never stops. So that's Krishna. It's not like, okay, so now you're going to do spiritual life. So like no more fun. Like, so you don't go to the bar. You're not going to the disco. You don't go to the rest. You go to movies. You don't go to movies. So you have no. So I can say that, like, no, what we do is we get up at 4 a.m. Yes. And we studied Bhagavatam about Mother Yasoda. So it's really a party for the soul all the time. And to enter into that festival, to enter into that spirit, that eternal, ever increasing, blissful spiritual festival, it does mean doing some austerity and giving up some temporary gratifications of the senses and ego that most of us are accustomed to. And that's the process of committing to enduring bliss of the spirit. And it requires giving up some temporary titillations and gratifications of the senses. And this is a very blissful purport. Yeah. First of all, Prabhupada's saying for Mother Yasoda to put Krishna down, and that she was not wrong. Is he indicating the faults with Krishna here?
I don't know.
Okay. So she's managing. She's just managing. And Prabhupada's kind of like what I sort of indicated, that the more I practice, then the more I get, call it super soul intuition about where I'm actually dovetailing things in Krishna service and where I'm doing some rationalization. And Prabhupada's saying that, yeah, that in enthusiastically accepting responsibility to serve Krishna to serve Krishna's mission, then naturally we're involved with multitasking. And so if we're in rajas, if we're in lower modes of nature with selfish agendas, then like I'll always make the wrong decision that'll entangle me further. And to the extent that I'm pure in my intention, then Prabhupada's saying, then we'll get super soul inspiration from higher intelligence about what to focus on now, what to focus on then. And this whole science of Krishna consciousness, science of self-realization, it's about it's a science of living, so that each day of our lives we're increasingly connected with that higher intelligence, that highest guidance within. I know, Sarah, you've been through our coach training and programs like that, and so because we have so many methods, tools, skills, principles, and often we say, all of these skills, principles, techniques, and transformative coaching, they're all meant to support the client to connect with the highest guidance within. It's all meant for that, and that's what Prabhupada's saying in different words. He's saying so eloquently, to get that as we purify our heart, we get super soul connection. That's the deepest intuition. Hare Krishna. Any other sharing, comments, questions at this time?
What do you think, Aaron?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful evening party.
Thank you so much.
Sarah, we appreciate your association.
Yes.
Thank you. We look forward to more. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tomorrow morning, Rohini is going to give class.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Good
Krishna.
night.
Have a good evening.
You too. We